Should the Knicks offer Immanuel Quickley an extension? Yes. Is he worth $100 million? Absolutely not. In this video, guys, we're going to go over the details surrounding the Knicks and Immanuel Quickley possibly coming to an agreement on the contract extension, as well as my reasons why I believe he is nowhere near worth the money that he and or his team is allegedly asking for. Now, this is a time-sensitive issue. The Knicks at the moment have between now and October 24th, which is the day before the start of the upcoming 2023-2024 NBA season, to reach an agreement with Immanuel Quickley. I believe that the Knicks and Immanuel Quickley and his team will ultimately come to an agreement. The question is never been about whether the Knicks want to retain Immanuel Quickley. We highly value his services and what he's done for this team thus far. So it's never been about should we keep him or should we re-sign him. It's always been about how much is it going to cost us. Now, Quickley's asking price will be in the $100 million range over 4 years, roughly equal to what Jalen Brunson got last summer. Now, again, I just talked about the value of Immanuel Quickley. We know what he means to this team. He's the best three-point shooter. He is arguably the best defensive guard on the team. He's our sixth man. He galvanizes the second unit. We get all of that, right? But if we're talking about paying a guy close to the same amount of money as our best guy, Jalen Brunson, then that is something that I'm going to have a problem with, as well as I'm sure a lot of Knicks fans as well. Jalen Brunson at the moment is getting paid around $27 million. Now, Brunson's deal was a steal. We know that. He's worth a lot more than that, and the Knicks are going to have to pay him accordingly when he becomes available for his extension next summer. 9 figures might feel steep for Quickley, but it's not far off. He has been one of the most valuable Knicks players over his first 3 seasons. Yeah, again, absolutely true. There's no denying the value of what Immanuel Quickley brings to the team and the value of what he brings in this league, right? But if we're talking about max player guys, so far on the team you have Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, and Julius Randle, who are your top dogs getting paid on fairly good deals, right? 25 plus mil per year, right? But the difference between them earning that amount of money and Quickley earning that amount of money, which is my first reason why I believe that he shouldn't be paid that amount, is because those players are starters. Quickley is coming off the bench. Now, in this league now, guys, it's a little bit different to look at whether who's starting and who's coming off the bench when you really want to evaluate the minutes total, because you have guys that are coming off the bench. However, they are, totaling the equivalent of the same amount of minutes that some starters are averaging. I get all of that. It just doesn't bode well with me when you're paying a guy that amount of money, and regardless, he is coming off your bench. So that's something to consider. However, in favor of Quickley earning this amount of money when the contract extension comes to a close is the fact that he is valuable with his other players, right? So look at this interesting stat right here, guys. Now, last season, 8 players logged at least 500 minutes alongside with Quickley. And this stat right here shows us that any tandem of Immanuel Quickley with any of the other guys on the roster, they're in the positive. So best three-point shooter on the team, arguably best defensive guard, as well as he plays well with the other players on the team. Look at the plus-minus differences with each of these players. Quentin Grimes plus 242. Isaiah Hartenstein plus 226. Jalen Brunson plus 224. The list goes on. Anytime any of these players are playing alongside Immanuel Quickley, they are averaging in the positive, right? And that's a good stat to have. That means that whatever point you're on the floor, you are bringing something positive, whether that's scoring, whether that's assisting, whether that's defense, you're getting steals. He brings a positive to this team. But in this league, you're only as good as your last performance. And one of the things that I think will truly hurt Immanuel Quickley getting this price of $100 million, if that is indeed what he's asking for, is the fact that he didn't really perform well in the playoffs last season. Naysayers will be quick to point out some of his playoff duds last season. Again, that is a classic small sample mistake. It was not all bad anyway. A few stinkers make the averages look worse. The guy is 24, not especially young by NBA standards, but still developing. Last season was really the first that he was truly trusted by Tom Thibodeau. Facts, right? So he is 24, and I made a video recently about we need to warm up a little bit with R.J. Barrett in terms of the fact that he is still young, but that excuse can only go so far. This is Immanuel Quickley's second playoff performance. You know, the first one was going back to the Atlanta Hawks a couple of years ago. And the youth excuse was more of an excuse then than it is now. Quickley had a pretty good year this year. And when the playoffs came around, even in the first round against the Cleveland Cavaliers, he didn't really show much. And he ended up getting injured midway into the Miami Heat second round playoff series, but he didn't show us that much either. Now, a couple of stinkers makes you look bad, yet it doesn't really determine what you are as a player. But if that's what we have to go by in terms of the last time we saw you, that's not going to help Immanuel Quickley get that $100 million contract, if in fact that is what he's asking for. And at the end of the day, we know that regular season stats are good. That's cool and everything. But if you can perform in the playoffs, that is what makes you get paid. That is what determines your true value in the league. Now, again, I believe that the Knicks and Immanuel Quickley will ultimately come to a deal. The question is how much. So Devaney notes that 80 million number as a expected range for Quickley, according to his executive sources. Beckley outlines a scenario in which Quickley gets 18 mil in the first year of his 4-year extension, with annual raises from there, which would total somewhere north of 80 million. Now, this is something that is a little bit more respectable, around 80 million 4 years. So that's about 20 million per year. Incentives involved that can up the salary, obviously. So I think this is where Quickley will ultimately end up extending with the Knicks around this price. But again, you got a lot of guys that are making 20 plus mil. Josh Hart just got his deal, right? And does Quickley have the same value that Josh Hart brings to the team? They do different things and they both do their stuff well. But there's a lot of things that we need to consider. One other thing that I think we need to consider is that Immanuel Quickley at the moment right now is expendable. Why? Because we have Dante DiVincenzo. Now, Dante DiVincenzo may not be as defensively sound as Immanuel Quickley, but he gives you the three-point shooting. He can space the floor. He's coming off the bench as that lightning rod. So if we were to lose Immanuel Quickley, I think that we will be fine, considering that we got a guy who is a knockdown three-point shooter and can do a little bit more than Quickley. And we're talking about the ball handling. Quickley may be a bit of a ball handler, a better ball handler than Dante DiVincenzo. But in terms of the shooting, the scoring ability, I think we'll be fine if we ended up losing Immanuel Quickley with Dante DiVincenzo filling in the void. So there's a lot of things to consider, right? Quickley may be valued highly in the league, and if the Knicks don't end up keeping him, then I'm sure some other team will find a way to steal him from us. I think ultimately we will end up trading Immanuel Quickley in the trade deadline. We'll see what happens. But I'm just uncomfortable with paying a guy over 100 mil or 100 mil to come off the bench, considering the fact that we already have starters who are getting paid close to that amount and the fact that he hasn't really shown as much in the playoffs. So I will be a little bit hesitant to go ahead and, give Quickley that amount of money, despite the fact that he is the highest three-point percentage on the team, as well as the best defensive guard. So we'll see what happens, guys. Again, just a short video. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, share, and comment. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that Immanuel Quickley is worth this 100 mil? Do you think that he has done enough to prove himself? Is he valued enough to warrant that price, regardless of the fact that other guys like Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle are getting paid that much? Or do you think, like I think, that he shouldn't get paid that money at all? And truthfully, he should be around the $80 million range in a matter of 4 years. So let me know what you guys think. Catch you on a rebound. Peace.